Welcome back, everybody, to the Renaissance Tourism Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Riley. In today's episode, I'll be discussing Chinese political culture, imperial and communist system. China is a political entity that has existed since at least 221 BC, that's before Christ, when the Qing dynasty first united China, and it has existed previously during the Warring States period from 476 BC to 221 BC, and during the Zhou dynasty from 146 BC to 256 BC, uh, where China existed as a cultural entity, but not necessarily a united entity. The Zhou dynasty did rule China for over 7 centuries, and it's China's longest ruling and existing dynasty. In 221 BC was considered the start date of a united China, partly due to the disorder of the Zhou dynasties, due to the dynasty losing power and giving political power and independence to large territories and other noble families within its empire. Also, the territory that had been given did expand the Chinese empire beyond the borders of the original Zhou China. Also, during that period, Chinese culture continued to develop. Due to that, the culture did not experience the same kind of cultural collapse and destruction of the Western equivalent, the Western Roman Empire, which was destroyed in 476 AD. China and its civilization as a historical, political culture, philosophy, and language has been developing and has continued for at least over 3,000 years, if not more, according to Chinese legend. This affects the Chinese political culture because its culture itself was developed strongly and influenced by two key philosophers. These are Chinese legalism and Confucianism, both developed during China's Warring States period. These two philosophies, both to govern a state and what constitutes a strong, capable ruler, are vital reasons for why China's current communist system has been so accepted within China. The communist system is in China and the old imperial system have many similarities. Confucianism developed from what's later called the Hundred Scholars of Thought, from teachings of Chinese philosopher Confucius, who lived from 551 BC to 479 BC. Confucius considered himself a transmitter of cultural values inherent to the Yi dynasty from 270 BC to 1600 BC. Confucianism has evolved drastically over the last 2,000 years. The philosophy advocates a ruler to lead by example and to rule through benevolence, which is charitability and showing kindness in their decisions. Confucianism also advocates for a strong central government and attitude that central authority should not be challenged and that the leader should be a father figure, making Chinese people power incredibly paternalistic. The definition of paternalism means that making all decisions for the people you govern employ are responsible so that they do not have to make their own decisions. China's next great longest living philosophy, besides Confucianism, is legalism, which was the foundation of Chinese imperial system from 221 BC until the final collapse of China's imperial system during 1911 during the Chinese Revolution, which saw the last dynasty of China, the Qing dynasty, be destroyed. China's last ruling dynasty was the Qing dynasty, which ruled China from 1644 AD until 1911 AD. Legalism was established as a dominant governing of China by the Qing dynasty, which ruled China from 221 BC until 206 BC, and advocated a philosophy of legalism. The philosophy of legalism has managed to survive past China's imperial period and is heavily influenced in the Chinese state along with Confucianism until the present day. Chinese legalism is a philosophy of belief that human beings are more inclined to do wrong than right, because they are motivated entirely by self-interest and require strict laws to control their impulses. The philosophy was made by Han Vizin, that's Feizi, developed from 280 BC to 233 BC in Qing Dynasty. China's two leading political traditions and philosophies regarding government and how to run a society are highly compatible with the philosophy of communism and a state-led economy, an economy in which the state must influence every Chinese person's decision in their day-to-day lives. Here is a definition of command economy or state-planned economy, which is a type of economic system where the distribution of goods and services or investment of production and allocation of capital goods take place according to economic plans that are either economic-wide or limited to a category of goods and services. In the philosophy of legalism, for the state to prosper, the people within that state must be suppressed. ultimate of the state's survival and overall happiness of society. In Confucius' state, power is highly paternalistic, which makes both philosophies of legalism and Confucianism highly compatible within the Chinese uh, communism. All three views are that power comes from a central authority figure and they must be obeyed. However, it's important to point out that in Confucian philosophy, if a ruler does bad governance or is tyrannical, though it's not clearly defined in Confucian tradition what that actually is, and the people within that state have the right to rebel against evil rulers or rulers that are misruling the nation. This covers today's article. Thanks for listening. I will leave my writing link below in the comment section, and peace out.